Alright, what's going on, y'all? This your man Mike Deloach coming back to you with some more content of today. One thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that they didn't understand me at first. And so here it was, I started taking classes here at the community college, and there's one of my classes. It was a cute Mexican chick, you know what I mean? And I forget what the class was. It was like a computer class, you know what I mean? But we sat right beside each other, you know. And of course, that first day, you're getting seats. Seats are not assigned yet, you know what I mean? So, I found my way, next to her. Anyway, as the semester goes on, and a couple weeks in, I try to shoot my shot. And so there were times where, I would talk to her and was trying to shoot my shot, and, she'd look at me sometimes like, what? When at first I was like, well, damn, like, what the hell did I say that was so offensive? You know what I mean? But here it was, at the end of the day, it was just, sometimes she didn't understand what I was saying. And I always made myself look like a fool, but in my mind, I was who I was, trying to just holler and not realizing I was in a different environment. So here I am in New Mexico, and not realizing that I am from the South. I am from South Georgia. I'm fresh into New Mexico. This was 2009, so I was here maybe a year at that point. Either way, I'm still fresh into New Mexico. And so me not realizing I still had that southern twang, with how I talk, and so I talk low, you know what I mean, and still have that twang, so it was hard for her to pick up on what I was trying to put down, you feel me? But anyway, it wasn't until, we actually started hanging around local black women, if you would, and some of those, like two of those girls were local, and like one was from Texas, one was from California, you know what I mean? So one of them from Texas, she understood the country, so she took the time to listen, whereas you got the city girls, it's like, but they gonna speak up, they may be like, what, you know what I'm saying, but at the same time let you know that you just so country or whatever, or or you talk so low, almost like speak up, you know what I mean? So they'll more voice that in a different way, whereas you got this Mexican girl who's not really so used to the black culture or even understand like having that country twang is a southern thing, you know what I mean? Whereas you got these black women that for California, city girls who gonna speak up, and you got the one country girl that kind of know like, oh yeah, they just country or whatever. But being around them, what actually brought the light and showed me like, dang, like, is this what's been stopping me this entire time as far as me not being able to move forward? Because here it is, I got this country twang, and I talk low, and you know what I mean, you gotta interact with these girls a little differently, you know what I mean? Again, it was the locals that, kind of reminded me and put that light into me. It made me realize, like, I need to take a different, not necessarily take a different approach as far as how I'm approaching them, but just be mindful as far as the accent that I have, and if I'm trying to talk to a local, how they may be receptive towards it or whatever. And we will bring in local perspectives at some point. That's one thing that we will do. So look forward to that. You know what I mean, and just to see, to get that like I said, that local perspective. Here it is though. I realize there is not necessarily a problem, but we gotta tweak that a little bit. You know what I mean? And so here it was. At the same time I'm going to school, I started working my first job out here, And my first job out here was customer service for DirecTV. So here it is, I'm talking to people, nationwide. So sometimes I may get those people that's in the South, you know what I mean, that I can communicate with and it seems natural. Whereas sometimes I may get somebody in the city that's in California, in Vegas, or New York, and they may feel like, I'm talking slow. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions about, people in the South. They think this is because people in the South talk slow that they're slow. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions, you know what I mean? But anyway, here it was, even working in that environment, I realized I had to change, not necessarily my tone, like talk faster and pronunciate, because the thing is with the call center, you're dealing on a call volume. You got so many people in this queue that's trying to get to a representative. And I know if you've been on the other end, as far as whatever customer service you may have been calling, sometimes it has been some time before you got to speak to someone. So here it is, there's this queue of so many people waiting to talk to someone. And so as being a representative on that side, where you're actually talking to the customers, the kind of name of the game is you want to be able to get people on the phone and off the phone as quick as possible. By all means, still resolving the issue, but you want to be able to do that in a timely manner. So working in that environment, you have what they call a call time, and they want you to be under, a certain number as far as, getting off of the phone, because again, they're basically doing this forecast, so they're going to know they're going to have so many people within the queue on any given day. And if you're talking to them longer than this amount, we're not going to be able to empty out that queue, which is going to cause you to work longer, or not to get too far into that. But here it was, I'm dealing with these different people. I got to kind of talk faster as I'm explaining the information. So me having that country, getting things out in a slower manner wasn't really per se effective in the line of work that I was doing. It helped me on a broader scale, because me learning those skills within that environment as far as talking also, change how I talk to those around me. And speaking of those around me, here it is, I am in a different environment. I am in a different culture where black is the minority, and more of the Mexican, the Latino, and Spanish community is more dominant in your Native Americans, so here it is, being in New Mexico, being in New Mexico alone, people have their own slang, their own lingo. So working in a job, the people around me were of different culture. So meanwhile, as I'm working with these people, I'm also starting to hang out with these people. So now I'm getting more involved with some of the local folk that live in the area. Meanwhile, while I'm hanging out with the local folk again, I'm picking up on their slang, and even though it is kind of city in some instances, you still have their local slang, which is slowed up, or they drag out certain words, you know what I mean? So I started to understand that local culture, and also understanding that not everyone here speaks Spanish. You have some people who come of the Spanish descent, Mexican descent, where their grandparents may speak Spanish, but the kids, they don't speak Spanish. All they know is English, so they're more or less Americanized. And so that was kind of almost like that common denominator. But at the same time, it taught me a lot as far as even understanding myself and them, seeing that, okay, he's not from around here, he is from the country, and, working a job that he's working is kind of, almost changing the way that he talked, almost getting away from that country accent, because you got more of a broader audience that needs to understand you more than just the country lingo, so definitely hanging around the locals and working at a job that I was working kind of changed the way that I communicated. It brought me a little closer to dealing with locals now, and at that point I basically just, was sharpening my knife, you know what I mean? So now that I understand that, okay, it was my accent, and, I was talking low, now at this point, I can be mindful of, okay, sometimes I can't have an accent, and even play on that. So like now, I'm not so much offended if, if I were to say something to someone and the female look at me like, what? At that point, I may get a kick out of it, like kind of laugh like, okay, forgive me, I am from such and such, what I'm saying? Maybe that's why, you didn't quite understand what I said or whatever, but now I can play onto that.